It's time now to review headlines of today's newspapers, and I'll be doing that with my co-anchor this morning, Mr. Steve. How you doing?
Thank you, Keita. Doing very well.
All right,
it's the happiness day, isn't it?
Yeah, so we're going to get our happiness after this.
Happiness dose.
Well, let's see.
All right, we'll start with the review of newspapers, as always, with this day. On Saturday, the lead story here says, ECOWAS leaders meet in Abuja. U.S., United Nations back Tinubu's moves to restore democracy in Niger. Buhari expresses shock, worries about Bazoum family. France insists on reinstatement of Nigerian president. General Tchiani is new leader, threatens bloodbath if foreign military intervenes. I think that this is an interesting development,
very
given the position of ECOWAS, particularly the position of the chairman of ECOWAS, who happens to be our president. But then I understand that they don't want more coups. But then it's not only Niger. So if you say Niger, return, reinstate the president, release him, and then return to democracy, which is the proper thing to do, what about the other three countries that are in military rule? What will be ECOWAS's position in dealing with member states that have been ruled by the military? Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea. What will be the position? So, let's see how they deal with this. I like the fact that the president, is talking about mooting the idea of an ECOWAS force. But then how will that work? Will it be like another ECOMOG? Will it be like if there's a coup somewhere, you can use the ECOWAS force to now say, go and return, go and return democracy in that country? Is there a way? I like the fact that they are meeting, ECOWAS is meeting, but then in mediating, what really can you do? Will it be like 20 years ago when former President Obasanjo was entertaining the Prime Minister of Sao Tome and Principe, and then he was toppled back home, and President Obasanjo was decisive and said, if you don't want trouble, return that man. And he went with him in the same plane back to Sao Tome, to have that man reinstated. Will we have something like that here, given the fact that the former President of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, has a special interest in Niger, and then President Tinubu is saying that, we don't want coup in our sub-region, we will deal with it.
I mean, definitely. I mean, we were even looking at Bazoum. He's not someone that is new to this kind of coup attempt. I mean, he was elected president in the 2021 election, and that was the first. We saw that being the first democratic transition of power in the state. And there has been even a thwarted thwarted coup attempt in Niger back in March of 2021, when a military unit tried to seize the presidential palace just days before he was sworn in. But what's really interesting is how the international community has really reacted. We're seeing the EU, the AU, ECOWAS, France, the US, everybody really standing up to this. And I think what really stands out to me is his safety. I know that there was an official letter that went out on his Twitter saying that the family was safe. They were being held, of course, in the presidential residence. But, the more time goes, we're looking at a faction that might not necessarily be grounded at the center. Everybody has different reasons why they're doing what they're doing. So that's really what stands out for me, his safety. Because if anything happens to him, then it's no longer a coup. Then we're now looking at the consequences of attacking or putting the president in danger or in harm's way. So we'll continue to watch and see how that
what
pans
happens
out.
But we also know that this is not just about West Africa. The interplay of international politics, France, Russia, the Wagner Group, is already rearing its head. Let's see what happens there. On top of that story, at Russia-Africa Summit, Shettima says Nigeria repositioned for greatness. That's where the vice president is representing President Tinubu in Russia. And I like the fact that, African presidents are, they are not condemning Russia as such, but they are also speaking in unison with force to say, let's end this war and let's backtrack on the grains, that are not reaching people. Because people can feed, people are dying, cost of living, inflation. If that war should end today, the world would know a bit of peace, and that's important. On top of that story, on the strip there, ahead of Bayelsa, Kogi, Imo Guba elections, INEC demands action against violence.
Very
and on top
story.
of the masthead, Kanu orders ECPA to end sit-at-home in Southeast. An important story in his handwritten, letter. But hey, he's ordering him in what capacity? Somebody who is incapacitated. He's ordering somebody, that we can't even touch. But I like the fact that everybody is saying we have to find a solution to this Simon Ekpa business. The other time at the National Assembly, his case was also discussed. Asaidu Kubo, with all his issues, is also discussing Simon Ekpa. So it's important. Afenifere knocks president's economic policies, says government insensitive. And on that note, I think that what Tribune has, what The Guardian has, what Vanguard has on their cover today is interesting. You want to quickly read it?
All right, then
Tribune.
if you look at the Saturday Tribune, more hardship coming. Experts warn, says price of petrol may still go up and that reforms will boost capital inflows. The petrol black market collapses in Togo and in Benin. You mentioned this earlier. NLC leaders storm out of palliative meeting in Aso Rock. This is not what should be happening right now. We should be having conversations and solutions to the problems, not still butting heads at such a point.
A situation where the reps of the federal government will not be part of the meeting where you are looking for solutions. Suggest to people that you are basically saying, deal with it. We have taken our decision, which is why the lead stories in many of today's newspapers is so important. Tribune, is saying what he has just said. Vanguard says palliatives can cure our pains.
Definitely
That's Nigerians crying out. While The Guardian says 2 months after subsidy removal, life has become miserable. Nigerians tell Tinubu, we can't ignore the pains of the people. And whatever we may claim as successes of policies, if it's not impacting
the people,
very well, on the people, then we may have to just, review and look at how things can be better. That's why you were elected.
My fear is that there's a possibility that it's even going to get worse, but that's all we have on the show today.
All right, that's the end of the morning show today. Thanks for watching and do stay safe. I'm Steve Ayorinde.
And I'm Sheiton Atigari. From our entire team here in Lagos, Nigeria, enjoy the rest of your morning and, of course, the rest of your day. Goodbye.